Sean Sewell, Engearment Podcast. This is, let's call it the heavy episode. And I'm going to walk you through who I am, a bit of my past, a lot of battles I've been through, what insight and knowledge I've gained through those battles, and the creation story of Engearment, Colorado Personal Fitness, and I think it's going to be a really insightful, inspiring, and good episode. So it's kind of bittersweet. There's definitely some hard things to talk about in here, but I think it's going to be really relatable to a lot of people out there. I know a lot of you are going through your own battles. We all are, actually. And as we talked with Brett Jones last time, we don't always know what other people are going through. So I'm going to share with you some things I've been through, currently going through, and I think they'll be very relatable and hopefully helpful for a lot of you. I've learned a lot in this process, and I've been very happy to be a resource to people as they're going through things like mental health, grieving, loss, starting new businesses failing, and learning from all these processes. So let's just jump in at the beginning. So my name is Sean Sewell. Actually, it's Michael Sean Sewell. My father's name was Michael Gene Sewell, so not quite a junior, but it just made more sense to go by Sean. So given name is Michael. I was born about an hour after Christmas on 1978, so December 26, 1978. Missed it by an hour. My poor mother was in labor on Christmas. I guess that's a good thing for her because, wanted to have a kid. And born in Omaha, Nebraska. I have two siblings, a sister 3 years younger than me, and a brother 6 years younger than me, Christy and Matthew. Matthew was born what is currently called high-functioning special needs. Back then, we called it, this is not politically correct, but mentally retarded. And they both had learning disabilities, later on physical disabilities, and both my parents were physically disabled as well, and I'll get to that in a moment. So I grew up in a household of very loving people, but physically, mentally disabled, morbidly obese, and hoarders. And I'll explain a little bit more about how they got to the hoarding and this kind of behavior and what I've learned from it too. It's actually a very strong motivation to do what I do. So it comes from that place that I do what I do now. So growing up in Omaha, Nebraska, parents were married up until the day they passed. Very loving family, like I mentioned. I was always interested in outdoors. My mother turned me on to the outdoors, got me in campfire, teen naturalist groups. We would do fun things. We'd always go to museums, Fontenelle Forest, Neal Woods, state parks. We didn't have a lot of money, often on food stamps. Power's often getting turned off. And so we made the most of the opportunities we had, which is being outside. And also, with my parents being hoarders, it wasn't a very welcoming environment to have people over. So I really enjoyed the outdoors because you can invite people over to go camping because it's outdoors. Our home, it was nice. It had a backyard. It had trees. I was always outside. On the inside, there was no place to sit, as hoarder houses often are, just full of junk. Social services came many times. We talked them out of taking us away to someplace else. And so, a little bit unique in that regard, childhood. But watching the consumption of stuff, consuming, hoarding of stuff, and then a lot of TV watching. I think there was probably 8 TVs in the house. Every room had a TV. So I don't like TV very much. So I don't watch much TV. And what else? Food-wise, just, my whole family was pre-diabetic, eventually diabetic. And so as soon as I could get a paper out, I did. I think I was 11 years old. And I started buying my own food, preparing my own food. And my siblings would get picked on quite a bit in school. And so I wanted to become a superhero for them. So I started lifting weights and built up an aesthetic that deterred people from picking on not only myself, but also my siblings. In that process of learning how to train with weights, it gave me more confidence as well. And I realized it carries over into endeavors like hiking, or the ability to take on a second or third paper out, carry more papers, make more money, buy more food, buy some guitars, learn how to play guitar, buy my first, actually my first thing I bought was a Swiss Army knife. And I still have it. And so working more. Obviously, I love working. I have worked pretty much every day since I was 11 years old. So we're 31 years in. Is that right? Yeah, 31. So work ethic in Omaha, Nebraska. Salt of the earth people. You just work hard and you treat people kindly. And it served me very well in my life still. Just treat people kindly, work very hard. So back to my family. Loving, caring, wonderful family, but depressed, some, I would say schizophrenia, a lot of mental illness in the family, and myself included. I battled depression and anxieties from a very young age. I used to get ulcers in grade school. Very nervous kid. I was very embarrassed too because I couldn't have friends over. And so, exercising and being outdoors were the two things that made me very happy. And they still do. It's very evident in the work we do. So this fitness, kettlebells right there and TRX and the outdoors. All the videos we shoot are outdoors, right? For outdoor gear to help you get outside as well. So let's fast forward quite a bit. My brother being mentally disabled, I knew that it would come to me to take care of him in the future when my parents passed. So it's a pretty big burden as a kid to have that on my shoulders. And, I felt the stress of that, and I coped with it in unhealthy ways. Definitely got involved in, bad decision-making and substance abuse, and got help for that and got through that. But I'm in my 20s, and I've got a decent job at a law firm. I thought I would never be inside working in a cubicle, but here I am. I've earned my way into a decent career. And but all the while, I still enjoyed fitness and health, and people would ask me for advice, and I'd be happy to meet at the gym and help them through. But it's just like friend, non-transactional, non-career choice, just for fun. And then I was getting ready to pick my brother up for a boys' weekend. I'm going to watch some Lord of the Rings and hang out. And he had just had a gallbladder removal surgery. He's about 385 pounds at this moment. And all my family was in the 300 plus, probably 350 to 400 pound range. And then here I am, I was like 185 pounds at the time. And I'm 205 now. And I've been 205 for 15 years now. And so my motivation is always to lead by example. I can't force anybody to eat well or exercise, but if I do it myself, it might inspire other people. It didn't work with my family, unfortunately. So I'm getting ready to pick him up, and I get a call that he had a heart attack. He's 21 years old. He had a heart attack. And so I meet the chaplain. We meet the chaplain at the hospital. That's not usually a good sign. And then I watch him go through a couple more cardiac arrests. And of course, this is devastating to my mother and father. My sister's not around right now. She's in a different state. So per usual, I had taken on kind of a parental role with my family early on. And so I offered to be power of attorney, make the decisions for him. And this is my first time out of 4 times now going through being the power of attorney, medical and durable, and being the caretaker for somebody. And making that tough decision, I had to sign off on the DNR, do not resuscitate, for him so he could pass, comfortably as possible. And because he was brain dead, but he was an organ donor and he really wanted to donate. He was a very kind man. And so I followed through with his wishes. And after that event, of course, it was very painful. It made me reevaluate what I'm doing in my life. Do I want to work in a cubicle for somebody else, not making an impact in the world, making an impact in the business? Sure, doing a good job, kudos, get a raise, but not really changing the world. Not really doing a whole lot outside of the cubicle in that business. So I immediately enrolled in NPTI, National Personal Training Institute. It's a 9-month program every night, like 5 to 10 p.m. for, Monday through Friday for 9 months. And it's a very immersive program. It's just health and fitness and nutrition, nothing else. No English, no math, there's probably a little bit of math, but you get the point. It's a trade school. It is this trade. And then I graduated through there, got every certification I could find, NASM, ACE, NSCA, all the TRX, anything with kettlebells, any certification I could find. That wall over there's got more freaking certificates than anybody needs. But I like learning. I love learning. I love coaching. So with his passing, it was a very strong motivation to change the course of my life to help other people. And that was 15 years ago. So left the law firm. I built a gym in that law firm. And up until COVID, that's where I was every day training people. And then I built a different gym outside of there as well. And again, up until COVID, I was there every afternoon training people. No complaints. I've learned to pivot and have a new business and a new gym and a new online coaching. So it's all worked out since COVID. But yeah, because my brother passed, it allowed me to get into health and fitness in a big, big way. And then let's fast forward a little bit more. I love gear. So that covers the fitness part, the cover all personal fitness. Gear-wise, always been a gear freak, always buying more gear than I need, writing reviews on REI and backcountry.com. In fact, my friend Dave Marcus and myself were, I believe, number 1 and 2 on reviews for backcountry.com. So they asked us to come out to Park City and meet with them and go through what we're doing, how they can support better. They're going to start paying us and giving us gear. And we were super excited. And then we left, came home. We're like, yes, all right, we're going to have something new to do here, a big purpose and to, help a lot of people. And then, of course, opportunity fell through. I think they got bought out by a different conglomerate. And the person we were working with left the company the next week. And so, we were a little bit down on ourselves, but we realized if it was good enough for them to contact us, then it's good enough of a thing to do. So we created Engearment.com. And that was, I believe, 2014. So yeah, we've been doing this for 7 years now. And so Dave and I, as Engearment, we would just review all the stuff we currently had. And then if we purchased anything new, we would do a review on it, put it up on YouTube and on Vimeo. I don't do anything on Vimeo anymore, but YouTube is the second biggest search engine, so I'm going with YouTube. And we would just hustle and, for free, do all this stuff and earn reputation as the people who would review things in the mountains and start to get a bit of following. It was really fun. And then trade shows would happen. SIA, Snow Sports Industry Association, I believe. And they had that here in Denver. You had to be invited in. We pitched and we pleaded, let us in. We didn't have enough people on our website yet. But we somehow snuck in. I don't remember if we actually snuck in. We might have snuck in. But we got in. And literally with our iPhones, and I think we even had a GoPro we borrowed, we're literally interviewing Cody Townsend. We would walk up to Patagonia, hey, can we get a spot? And Patagonia was super cool. Yeah, come on in. Here's a cup of coffee. What do you want to talk about? And so forth and so forth for all the brands. And what was fun about it was the interaction with the people in the outdoor industry. They're really great people, and they're still friends. And now I can email Patagonia, and 2 days later, stuff shows up for the whole team. We've earned that reputation and that relationship with these companies. And I think they appreciated the grittiness, and I hate the word hustle, but the hustle we had. We were really hungry to work and to prove ourselves and to earn their trust and respect, and your trust and respect. That's what it's about, integrity and building the relationship. And boy, we failed so much. We constantly failed. Our audio was horrible. We didn't understand most anything, but we really wanted to create something, and we learned, and thank you for being patient with us through this process. So, Engearment started growing, got a few more writers, and then Dave's an attorney, and he wanted to focus more on his practice. And so a couple years ago, 2.5 years ago, he branched off and I took over Engearment. And when I did, there was quite a few writers I had in mind. And so we started building the team up from just Dave and I and Aaron Rose and Kate Agathan to now 42 or 40. I think we have 43. We met with Jason yesterday. Great guy. So yeah, 43 writers now. That's a lot of writers. That's a lot of people with really cool backgrounds, providing awesome content and great points of view on how they view the outdoors and what gear they use and how they approach it. So some more sadness, another battle. Here we go. So my sister, again, kind soul. She loved our younger brother so much. She went into school for special education. She wanted to help his people. She graduated, and I had her over for a celebratory lunch, and she's walking in front of me, and I watch her fall to the ground, and I was like, "Is she okay? 1, 2, did she trip on something?" And she said, "No, Sean, I couldn't feel my legs. They literally like went temporarily paralyzed. That's not normal, right? So got her to see a doctor, and they couldn't figure out what's going on. And at the time, I trained a back surgeon, and his partner is a brain surgeon. And so again, I step in as the parental unit, as the caretaker. I get power of attorney. I pull her charts. I give them to my client. He gives them to his business partner, and then I get a phone call like 2 minutes later. John, sit down. Got some heavy thing to talk to you about. It was a GBM, glioblastoma multiforme, brain cancer. Now, brain cancer obviously is in the brain, but it also, she developed a secondary cancer in her spine that affected the paralysis of her legs. Did the chemo, did the radiation. It got better for like 3 days, and then it came back even worse. And now she's blind. I literally was hanging out with her in her room at the hospital, and she's like, turn the lights back on. I'm like, the lights are on. And so being with somebody as they're paralyzed, like watching them paralyzed and then watching them go blind and then start having seizures, it was rough. And so, as our caretaker, as our every day, and at the same time, I'm going through the very first, for me, strong first SFG certification. So it was nice to have that distraction to go through that wonderful education. And then after the class is over, go be with her and read her books and play her music and stuff like that. So as I'm with her and I'm realizing how wonderful it is to be able-bodied, to walk, to see, and then also realizing that I wasn't able to be in front of people and in work. I had to take a lot of time off to be with her, and I was happy to do so, but I left a lot of people that I was working with, hanging. So I was like, I've got to create a way to help people when I'm not in front of them. So I created the Mountain Fitness School and created a lot of online content. And then I wrote the book right here on splitboarding. Right. And so by creating these books, online curriculum, online schools, and online videos, and then really doubling down on Engearment, because it was very therapeutic to me to create content helping people all around the world when I don't have to be in front of them. And as she lost her sight, it sunk in like how important visuals are. So I invested in better cameras, learned how to shoot better content. So, when I shoot these videos, I want them to look and sound as good as possible. So I know I have a very brief moment with you, and I want to present it as best as possible. So that's my motivation on why we create hopefully high quality content online for you. So she passes, and then I step into the role taking care of my folks. Elder care is another thing I could talk to you guys about. I almost wrote an ebook on this because it's really tricky to navigate elder care, hospice. So I did hospice with my sister. So if you don't know what hospice is, I'll do my best to explain it. Basically, hospice is pain management and dignity. So you can do treatment, like chemo, radiation, different kinds of procedures. And if you try that and it doesn't work, or you don't want to do that, you can go into palliative or even hospice. Hospice is you have to sign off saying you're not going to seek treatment, you're going to seek relief. So basically it's comfort and dignity as you're actively passing. And that's a tough thing to swallow, especially for the person. So I've had to do this now 3 out of 4 times. My brother was really quick. I didn't get a chance to talk to him about it. But talking to your loved one or a family member about going into hospice, it's very bittersweet. It comes from a good place. You want them to not suffer, and you want to offer them mercy, but then you're also understanding that the end is coming closer than you think, and you're not seeking things to fight. You're simply seeking things for comfort and care. And I think that's a beautiful thing. So now I'm caretaking for my mother and my father, and they're devastated. They've lost 2 out of their 3 kids. They've been evicted now from 2 more homes because, again, they're hoarders. And I've been trying to take over for them, be their caretaker. And they're very smart and very proud people. They were in Mensa. They're very proud. They didn't want me to step in and take care of them in that regard. And then it came to the point my dad was in and out of the hospital so often, and my mom couldn't drive anymore. and she had a big surgery to remove all of her teeth. I took her to a dentist one day, and she comes out with now any teeth. I'm like, what's going on here? So I realized I can't ask for permission. I have to step in and ask for forgiveness later. And I did. And I got him situated, taking care of my father while he's in a skilled nursing facility. And now I'm doing my second SFG and SFB. So I have those beautiful, wonderful carrots of distraction to look forward to. But then as I'm leaving class, I'm going immediately to a skilled nursing facility, checking on my father, and then taking care of my mother. And then another tough talk is if you are taking care of your parents, is what to do next. When you yourself or myself can't take care of them anymore safely at their home, assisted living comes in. So I guess another tough talk to have with your loved ones is assisted living. And so I found a nice facility about 10 minutes away from where my wife and I live here in Denver, and I was able to see them every day. Again, I was their power of attorney and their caretaker, so I would get them to doctor's appointments until they were not functionable physically to do that. They're both physically disabled as well. And then I had thought for a moment things were lined up. They were in a good place. They were happy. They were making friends and socializing. And then my father was like, I have this horrible back pain. And I take him into the hospital to get checked out. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. That's about the crappiest cancer you can get. Brain cancer, horrible. My sister lasted almost 6 months going through that and fighting it. Pancreatic cancer, it's just horrible. My father was in the hospital. Again, they were not giving us any answers, so I used my power of attorney, pull the charts, go back to that person I did before, and yeah, it's pancreatic cancer. Make arrangements immediately. I got him in a hospice, and 2 days later he passed. So 2 weeks from diagnosis to passing. And I'm glad it was quick, because he was in a miserable situation, a lot of pain. And then transitioned my mother into a different room in assisted living, and now it's my mother and I for the first time ever. It's just her and I, and she's able-bodied enough I can take her to farmers markets. I took her to Rocky Mountain National Park, nice drives, and we catch up and talk. And then a few months later, I'm like, okay, this is nice. It's sad. We've lost almost a whole family, but I have my mother still, and I get to see her pretty often. And then she's like, Sean, I have really bad back pain. We go to the same hospital, one room over, same diagnosis, stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Oh, that sucked to get that news. So I had about 2 more weeks with her, and in fact, it's May 22nd, I'm recording this. She passed away 2 years ago. And so, again, I didn't walk you through all that painful sharing just to leave you there. There is some light. All this darkness that I'm sharing with you has allowed me to see even more light and have more empathy and more ability to feel and take in life. So it probably doesn't make sense unless you've been through this. So what I've learned through this process here now is to make every connection in life count. From your best friend to a complete stranger, just treat them with love and compassion and empathy, and never assume that you know what they're going through unless they tell you, like I'm telling you right now. And it can be a really beautiful way to approach the world and less transactional. I know a lot of you work for a living, for money, and transaction is how it operates. But what I've really found, I've done that for 20 years plus, but I've been doing this for 15 years. And what I've learned here is when you do things purely for the joy of it, to serve other people, amazing things happen in return. And not immediately, sometimes years later. I'm having a hard time putting into words, to be honest, but it's a beautiful thing. And if you know, you know. So just do the right thing and look out for each other out there, and just try and put yourself in other people's shoes before you are quick to assume, especially if you're going to judge. Please don't judge. You don't know what other people are going through. Yeah. So, and what I've learned from all this process is it's incredibly strong motivation to keep learning, to keep helping and serving, and to keep creating the content that I share with you guys. I love getting feedback that people watch the videos or read the reviews, learn something new, perhaps get that gear they saw. It allows them to go outside and do that amazing thing, oftentimes with their friends and family. And when people share that with me, That's my success. That's what motivates me to do this more. And with the fitness business, when I see people, their posture change, they come in and they're like, I had to get a new belt. And because we don't train just for aesthetics, we don't train at all for aesthetics. It's just a nice byproduct. We just train for good movement, and we smile a lot and we laugh a lot. And everybody I work with does things outside. And that's what it's about. Living with purpose, having a good community, movement often, and being kind to each other. I think that's pretty much sums it up. Hopefully that was insightful. Hopefully it's inspiring to know that you can go through these processes of losing loved ones. There's a lot to gain from it, a lot to be grateful for. And hopefully I gave you some context on more of who I am and why I'm so adamant about health, mental health, fitness, wellness, and the outdoors. So when I speak to you about these things, it comes from a very authentic place and is as close to my heart as possible. And I believe that shows, but hopefully now you know. If you listen this far, I love you for listening. And till next time, take care.